Good afternoon, Miss Sylvia. I'm glad you can come in today.
Thank you.
Just to start out, and just in case you're worried, it is pretty standard. Your child's not in trouble or anything. She's actually doing really well. Okay, that's good. I'm glad.
Shoot, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, so what are we going to be going over today then?
Okay, so today we're actually going to talk about Alex's comprehension test, if you see right here.
Okay.
This is an achievement test which measures what a student has learned in the different contents areas.
Okay.
So if you look here and here, these are the years
Okay.
that we're going to be talking about.
When did Alex take this test though?
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you remember, but at the end of October, about the 29th, we had sent home a reminder that they're going to need a lot of extra sleep. They're going to need to be able to eat well that day.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I sort of remember.
okay, great. Well, we received those scores back.
Okay.
And just a note, these scores are not all going to determine if your child passes or fails. This is actually just going to serve as an indicator for us and the school to let us know where Alex is standing.
Okay.
So here's the score sheet.
Okay.
Now, this is going to be yours to keep. You're more than welcome to write on it and take any kind of notes that pops up in your mind.
Okay.
I also have with me today Alex's portfolio, so I'm going to slide you the portfolio.
Okay.
And that way we can compare the test and indicate some things that I have noticed that she has done well in class. As you know, this test is just a teeniest glimpse of her knowledge, whereas the portfolio describes her everyday progress from the beginning of the year until now.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, let's take a minute to go over the test information because looking at it can be kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So at the top, you're going to notice the standard information, such as school and the grade. And right here is the student's ID, which is the number you type into the test achievement website. You can also view these scores at home.
Okay.
Especially if you want to go over it with, your daughter and just kind of see where she's at.
Okay, I'll look at that tonight. So if we can look up all of this information online, why do I have to come in today?
That is a really great question, and we do get that question a lot from the parents because they want to know why. We have to keep going over it. The information on the website and the sheet of paper can be kind of confusing or misleading to you. These tests are important because it lets us know how your child is doing up to this point.
Okay.
It is important we understand how to interpret the data also that the companies give us. That way you're not sitting there thinking she failed when the scores are lower versus if the scores are higher.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the norm reference information. So if you can see the score sheet, kind of looks like it's divided into two sections. If you look right here, we have the top, and then down here we have the bottom. If you notice up here, this box at the top of the page is called the norm referenced information.
Okay.
This just means that they take a whole group of people of all different types of backgrounds and genders and allow them to take the test before it's actually released to the public.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No, not yet. Let's keep going over the norm group.
So they call these groups the norm group. There's usually about 15,000 different people that are in this norm group.
Okay.
They then compare the child's scores to that group. We will go over this part first. The bottom part, which we'll go over later, is called the criterion reference information. This is just a section that does not compare your child to any other group. This part is just actually to see how your child did on each specific skill.
Okay.
So, and as I said, we'll go over this in more detail in just a moment. For now, let's look at the norm here at the top.
Okay, but why would I care about how other kids scored? I literally only care about my kid, and I have to go. So can we just look at my kid's scores?
That's not a problem. I completely understand that. This top piece just tells you and I how your child is doing compared to other people taking the test. This information is usually specifically because it's part to let you know how Alex is doing very well compared to others.
Okay.
In a lot of subtests, she scored far better than most.
Okay.
This lets you know that everything we're doing at home and at school to help her and to achieve better scores is working for us.
Okay. That's fine. So I'm glad that she's doing well, at school at least, because sometimes at home I feel like I go over things with her and it's really frustrating because she's not listening to me at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. We have a lot of those in our class.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that. So let's break it down just a little bit. If you look over here at the far left sections, these are all subtests that we're given, such as vocabulary, analysis, reading comprehension, all of that.
Okay. So I don't understand what exactly reading comprehension is. Do you guys even go over this in the classroom? I mean,
Yes.
why are they being tested on it?
Yes, so reading comprehension is actually the student's ability to understand the information that they're reading. It's very important for them.
Okay.
It's really important for the students to be able to read the text. Also, pause. It's important for the student to understand what they're reading. So yes, this is what we go over in class, in the classroom a lot. And I'm sure Alex will let you know about her book report that is due this week. Book reports are a good way for me to know that Alex is in fact understanding what she's reading.
Okay, so that's reading comprehension. Okay, awesome.
So let's take a look at the basic battery and complete battery. This sounds a little confusing. All this means is basic battery is how your child is doing in areas such as reading and math, and then complete battery is how your child is doing in overall with everything.
Okay.
So the next column is total number of questions there were in a specific subtest. If you look at the vocabulary section right here, you'll see that there are 36 questions total. The raw scores, just the number of items they got correct. I wish they would just say that there, but they don't. Let me go ahead and write that for you on the side. So this is how many she got correct out of how many questions there were total.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. So let's go on to the next one. Here is the national percentile. That's pretty self-explanatory. This is not the percentage at all. This is kind of confusing, so I brought the bell curve to show you. This is the type of graph that gives you a scale to put your child on. In other words, it's just putting all the information on a graph, so it's a little easier for the parents to understand. So here on the bell graph is where it shows the percentiles. The part that I filled in is where most students score. The mean or average score is about 50%, which is the line right here.
Okay.
Your child scored in the 53rd percentile, which puts her right here.
Okay.
That means that she scored better than 53% of the norm group, which is the group of people that took the test before it came out, like what we just talked about a second ago.
Okay, so why does the vocabulary say 49%? Does that mean that she's failing vocabulary because she's not higher than 50%?
That's a really great question, and I get that a lot. No, not at all. Like I said, it's not a grade. This is just to see where your child is compared to the norm group. Let me show you on the bell graph. So 50 is at the middle, which is the average where most students score. So for vocabulary, your child hit right about here in the highlighted area, if you notice on your graph, and that's about average that the children normally score.
Okay.
Let's look at another one. You'll see that even in problem solving, where she scored in the 39th percentile, that means she still scored better than 39% of the people who have taken this test in the norm group. I also see that in science, she scored in the 85th percentile, meaning that she has scored better than 85% of the people in the norm group, which actually puts her right here on the bell curve. That is really great, actually. And right here in her portfolio, I can see that she really enjoys science as well. Her science project she brought in last week was superb. She may become a biologist of some sort. So
Okay,
this
good.
is some of her work, and I'm going to show you some of her work.
Oh, good. That scared me for a second when I saw that. I'm glad I talked to you about it.
Oh no, you have nothing to worry about. Like I said, this is just one piece of information. It's not the total picture or accomplishment she's made this year. So let's continue to the next column. Right here at the top, it says scaled score. The scaled score is just scores I am able to actually average.
Okay.
If you look at the bell curve, you can see that Alex falls in a good range still. This is just another way of representing the percentiles.
Okay, so why are there so many ways of interpreting this data? Why can't we just call it like a pass or fail, honestly?
Yeah, I know. It's important to know that these test scales may be different things. In case anything were to happen, we need to break down Alex's score. More information helps. The more, the better.
Okay.
All right, so the next one we're going to go to is called the percentile bands. You can see in the right range it ranges from 1 to 99. To describe this in a way someone can actually understand it is to look at the tiny saucers looking things right here. You can see that there's a dot with a line through it. The dot indicates a percentile we said your child was in. You will see the total reading column that her national percentile was 53. So the dot is about right here. The line through the dot is standard error of measurement. This basically means that no line through the dot is the standard error. This basically means that no assessment test is perfect.
Okay.
Either there can be a certain thing wrong with the exam or outside errors which may affect a child's test taking. Truly, just like in our everyday life, certain things can never be entirely perfect. For example, if the child took a test with a runny nose or didn't get enough sleep that night, all of these things could potentially affect their individual scores. But for Alex, I have in my notes that, I don't know who Deborah is. I have in my notes that it seems, she seemed very alert and awake for the test, which is awesome. That means she probably had a really great breakfast and a lot of sleep, which is what we are hopeful for our students. So I think this helped her with her test overall. So let me see. Because of this, they have made this line which basically says your child took the test over and over again. I shouldn't have stapled that right.
Oh, here, read this one.
It's fine. 3 or 4 points or score I've already received. I also wrote at the top of your copy, which you can take home if you're interested in. I've already thrown it off.
So if you need to remember, it's right here.
Okay. So if you needed to remember, it's right here. For example, with Alex, she were to take, I don't know where I'm at. For the answer, for example, with Alex,
if she were to take this test over and over.
That's if.
Oh, oops.
It's fine. It's typo.
You're supposed to check
typo.
me.
If she were to take this test, that's why I got confused.
Okay.
Over and over again. She would probably score from the 53rd to the 56th percentile because I used the +3 setting here around her on the bell curve. We're going to skip that part.
Oh, God.
You can see on her score sheet that her percentile bands are still in the 30 to 70 range scale. If we look at the bell curve, we can see that 30 to 70% is still where the average is for the norm group, who also took this test. That means that if something did negatively affect Alex while taking this test, she would still fall under the common score category in the new norm group.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm not really sure why I would care if my child is going to take this test over and over again. Like, why would they even put this on here?
That's a great question. It is important for us to see this because if something were to happen and she had a headache that day or she came in feeling ill, that will affect her score, and you could still see that she's still doing really great on the other test.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you would like me to go over for the top part of this section?
No, I think I got it, but I'm not going to remember all of this stuff. Like, are you going to write this down?
Oh,
for
definitely.
me?
I actually have already printed you out a sheet of paper which tells you what things mean and everything we're going over right now, just in case later on you want to review it with your husband or you forget something, because this is a lot of information. I understand that.
Okay, good. So what's next?
All right, so we're going to actually move down to the bottom portion of our paper. We are no longer going to be comparing your child to the norm group that we were talking about.
Okay.
So this bottom half only describes the specific skills your child was tested on and how those came out.
Okay.
So you'll notice a dramatic shift in the number range where the scoring number seems much lower, and that is absolutely normal. This section is called the criterion section, and it is based on different number scale.
Okay.
So this part of the score sheet is really useful to the teachers because it lets us know where the test thinks Alex is in terms of her ability to remember specific skills she has learned and all of that. So with that being said, as we know, this test is only a piece of information we can use to see how she's doing, which is why we keep referring to her portfolio. So before I begin, is there a specific subtest area you notice down the list that you may not understand?
No, it looks like I understand them. I mean, but like, are these two different tests Alex took, or I guess I'm not getting that part.
Okay, so no, not at all. Although the sheet may be hard to read, the great thing about it is that your child only took one test, and all of this information received back was just based off of the one score that she received.
Okay.
So within the test she took, there were specific questions that were testing her knowledge on certain skills she has. For example, here on all the skills that were being tested were reading, vocabulary, and word analysis, and structural analysis, and phonetic phonetic analysis, and so on. All right, now we're going to go down, and you're going to see right here it says raw score, the column next to it. This just means that this is the number of questions that Alex got correct.
Okay.
So the column next to it is called the MP, which actually stands for the number possible, or the total number of questions that were on the test.
Okay.
So if we go down a little bit more, you'll see that the next couple of columns tell us where the testing company thinks Alex falls under, either low, medium, or high. Low means that Alex may need a little bit more work in that area. Medium means Alex is proficient. She's in a good place. High actually means that Alex is doing outstanding in that certain area.
Okay.
It is also important to consider that even though the test determined Alex in the low area, there may only have been a couple of questions tested over this specific area. So
Okay.
I would not stress too much about that score.
Okay.
And if we look over here, we're gonna go over the data. For example, in the structured analysis part of this test, there were 10 questions for Alex, and she answered all 10 of them correctly. This means that she was in the high range because she got all of them correct.
Okay.
Do you have any questions so far? Like I said, I know this can be overwhelming, so please let me know if you want me to stop anywhere to explain anything.
Yeah, I'm looking down at the measurement score, and it's the lowest out of all of them, but she loves measuring, so how could she only score 5 out of 8 correctly? I mean, like, when she was a baby, she used to run around and, like, measure things and stuff, so I just don't feel like this test is correct.
That is super cute, and I can agree that Alex's understanding of her measurements, she enjoys it. But a thing to consider when looking at these scores is the overall number of questions asked in the specific skill set. So, for example, she did get 5 correct, and there were only 8 questions measured. So that's actually not bad at all.
Okay.
So in her portfolio, I see here that she scored a 98 percentile in her measurement test. So she's in fact doing a really great job.
Okay. Wait, so why is she saying that she's low then? For the number of facts, it says there's 12 questions in total, and she only got 8 of them correct. Isn't that worse than the measurement?
Yes, you are right. It does say she was low in the category, but I do not see she is getting her number facts in class. She loves doing math, the math wall, and helping her friends out. She tells me that you work with her a lot in math, which is also really great.
Yeah, I do.
And that's really good. In her portfolio, I see that she did score a 79% on number fact sheet test. With that being said, I tested all of my students at the beginning of the year and on their number facts to see their prior knowledge before coming into kindergarten, where Alex initially scored a 40% on. I remember discussing this score with you at the beginning of the year. So there's a big jump from a 40 to a 79, so she has done better.
Yeah, we did talk about that, which is why I've been working with her a lot.
Oh my gosh. Yes, and it shows her improvement of test scores. I have in the portfolio that she has improved quite a bit since the beginning of the year. So just to let you know, that continue to keep working with her every night. So I do remember that I gave you the number facts chart to fill out with her at night. I'll also give you a number facts game that you can actually play with her as well.
Okay, great, thank you. So, are you going to be working with her also, or is it just up to me for her to?
No. You'll never be alone in this process. We're both helping Alex to the best that we can to help her academics go up.
Good.
So, if you look in her language skill set, you can see that she received almost a perfect score in every category. This is wonderful, and her love for language shows in the class as well.
Okay.
She's always wanting to check out another book or write another story.
Yeah, sometimes I can't get her to put the book down for dinner.
That's actually really great. Maybe you and Alex can write a story together on number facts to kind of incorporate math into literacy.
Okay. Good, we will do that.
So here's a handout of the score sheet I went over. I wrote a few things out here for you, but here's a detailed list of the things we went over today. Also, let me grab you the number facts game I used with Alex so you guys can work on that at home. Do you have any questions for me at this point?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Here's the math game.
Okay, thank you.
Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help in any way. Alex has progressed so much since the beginning of the year, and I know that by working with her daily, you'll help continue to build a strong academic foundation for her future.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming